Good morning and welcome to Business Today on Osrc Television. My name is Omoshiliola Adesoya Ajayi, and on today's edition we'll be taking a look at the transition of foreign investors in Nigeria since independence and explore the path forward. Since 1960, Nigeria has experienced various phases of economic growth, political instability, and policy changes, all of which have impacted the influx and retention of foreign investments. So, joining me today to discuss this is Professor Folusho Obutuashe, Assistant Economist, Professor of Politics, and an expert in foreign investment. Professor Obutuashe, you're welcome on Business Today. Professor, okay. Prof, how are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Okay. So let's begin by tracing the early post-independence year of Nigeria. How did foreign investments look like in the early days?
Thank you very much. Almost I want to express my greetings and congratulations to all Nigerians worldwide on the 64th Independence Day celebration. When we talk about investment actually is an act of transacting something with money, transacting business with money for gains or economic growth by the investors or the stakeholders involved. And usually when we are talking about foreign investors, we are making references to experts, people, the professionals from advanced countries or investing nations like the UK, USA, United Arab Emirates, South Africa, China, and so on and so forth. Now, going to your question, since 1960 to date, we've been witnessing a lot of the inflow of investors and a lot of investments, which are projects. But these investments are identifiable by certain factors. One, the investors will want to identify investment hubs. For instance, in Nigeria, initially we had 3 investment hubs. The Lagos, which is the commercial capital and the investment destination of investors. Then the Port Harcourt, which is the energy hub section for the oil and gas investments. And we have Kano, which is the business center. Later on, we had Abuja as the government project hubs. So since 1960, there have been so much inflow of investors, and principally they were involved in industrialization, that is manufacturing. And in the 1980s, then what was rampant was commercialization. With the much productions from their industrialization and manufacturing, then they had enough market to sell out and to export. So we now experienced a period of commercialization in the 1980s. In the 2000 millennium, 2000 to 2020, what was rampant was transfer of technology. So investments were mainly based on transfer of technology and computerization. So, but to date, 2021 to 2024, which is to date, the government is battling with economic reforms. So, and many people have now turned themselves to politicians. So we have investments in politics. So many people go into politics as a source of investment.
Okay, thank you very much. Since 1960, just like you said, we've witnessed transition upon transition of power, talking about government from the military regime to the democracy and the rest. So we saw, like I said, we saw Nigeria transition to a period of military regimes. So how does this affect foreign investors? or foreign investment rather?
Trading of business or investment venture is a common venture to all form of government, be it monarchical, transition period, or democracy, or whichever. So trading, the procedure or system of production, manufacturing, buying and selling is pervades all forms of government. So there are no differences in forms of inflow of these foreign direct investors. The differences are not much pronounced. So, but even and investors were even more comfortable because in Nigeria there are certain parameters that attract investors. One, what are they coming here to do? Real estate, yes. The agricultural sector, yes. Treasury free, stock market, energy sector, telecommunication, transportation, infrastructure, and so on. So they are attracted to come. And also in those days, between 1960 and even up to the military era, people now identify Nigeria as investment hub. One, because of the market. It is the population that determines market. So in a country that is relative and that has relatively large population strength, investors would want to be attracted to transact business in such country. So then the bureaucracy, registration, the bidding, and the payment for services rendered in those days, even up till in the late 90s, there were no problems. You transact your business, you contract your projects, and at the finishing point, even before finishing point, then you paid your money. Then the political factor was not there. Political factor involves lobbying. You have, even when you know that you are qualified for this job, for the bidding, you are qualified. And in Nigeria, in most cases, under the democratic dispensation, even if you're right, you still have to lobby for it. But in those days, the project negotiation, this is very rampant in the democratic system. They say, okay, investment in infrastructure, in real estate, you want to build estates, you want to build roads, you want to construct this and that. You say, all right, come. This is the political practice in Nigeria. We are bidding this thing for 10 billion, but we will give it up to 15 billion to accommodate our own interest. Then at the end of the day, even with the 10 billion, they will now ask you, you settle so person from above, you settle this, you settle that. Then with about 5 billion left, they say, so they will now have to do, they will be faced with challenges and problems of substandard job. So these are the things that we are witnessing presently. But in the past, right from independence 1960 to in the 1990s, they were not so.
Okay. Before we dig deep into the major challenges of foreign investors, let's talk about this part, because we've been hearing about governments engaging foreign investors year in, year out, but it seems in most cases the impact, talking about the positive impact, has not been really been felt by Nigerians. What do you think is responsible for this? Can we say lack of trust from the part of the investors, or lack of commitment from the part of the government?
Well, in the our truthfulness. When a project is pursued religiously, it is being bidded and is contracted religiously. There were trusts. For example, even in education investment, when I was in the secondary school, we had a lot of expatriates as our teachers, especially in the science subjects, handling science subjects, physics, chemistry, biology, and even mathematics. So they were doing fine. We call them expatriates. Now, in some other sectors, when you say you want to build roads, the roads will be built and will be in use even for the next 30, 40 years. In some parts of Nigeria, especially even in some parts of Ondo states, if you go along the old Igbesha Ilara road, you will still see road built by Awolowo of blessed memories. Built in those days, you still see signs of old road. You see but today, even when you contract multi-billion naira road projects, they give face dressing and other things. They just in the next 5, 10 years, then you see potholes and other things. Substandard work. So there are no trusts because there are a lot of bureaucracies tied to the distrust. And what are the major problem is just corruption. That is the baseline. So corruption is tied to almost virtually everything. Then number 2, there is the security, there is fear, there is insecurity in Nigeria. So security measures are not properly in place.
Okay, because I'm still going to ask that, what do you think are the major challenges now? So let's just keep on, go on.
Yeah, okay, the major challenge is 1, the security.
Okay.
Then 2, you see the banking policies. Most of these investors, when they come, they now patronize the banks. How can you give us loan and what is the condition for servicing these loans? And probably in their own country, a unit digit loan system, but here they say they give you a loan, you have to pay interest of
high interest rates.
20%. So this is on the high side, and it is killing then even the foreign exchange. When you bid and you make a projection for about 15 billion naira to execute a project, and in the next 2 months, they now say the naira now has fluctuated, and the assumed 15 billion naira project has now jumped up to 25 billion naira project. How do you make for the difference? So these are one of the factors. Then even the political factors. When they say, okay, you have to apply, you have to register, you have to bid, you have to do this. The president will have his own candidates. The Senate president will also have interest, have his own candidates. Then the business people and other things from different sectors. And at the end of the day, you end up awarding to substandard person, somebody who is not on merit. You award not on merit. So then even most of the people you award to that are awarded based on not on merit, they may not even have any base, foreign base. And if you ask them of the address of their business address, if you trace such address either to foreign countries, you will not find anything there. So you see, most of these things are bidded, they are done online, which should not be and which had not been so right from time.
Okay, in all of this, what do you now think is the way out for Nigerians in terms of attracting and retaining foreign investors?
Well, like in our president's address, he said Nigeria attracted foreign direct investment with over $30 billion in 2023 alone. That is last year alone. And this year, Nigeria has attracted foreign direct investment investors and investment over 35 billion. But we virtually have money to show for all these spendings. At least 30 something billion, 30 something. So if you convert it to Naira, that's a trillion. So over the past 3 years, over 100 trillion Naira. What are they doing? Is there anything visible that they have done with it? So the way forward, one, we have to put our security measures in a very good position such that we attract investors. Where there is no security, there is no peace, there is no development, foreigners cannot come. There is fear, there will be fear. Then the foreign exchange rate. So our money, our Naira has to appreciate, and we have to do something about it to make sure that we appreciate our Naira. Then the banking, debt servicing, our banking services also we have to improve that. Then all these bureaucratic orders, we have to set them aside. Then the tax incentives, we have to encourage investors with tax incentives. So you don't have to place high tax on them. Today now, if you say you want to set up a telecommunication company, the tax they will give you, even it will discourage you. So there, but majorly, you see, we have to retreat to our starting point in the 1960s, which is industrialization. Nigeria, we are not producing anything. We are consumers, and we call ourselves giant of Africa. So let us go back into industrialization. Then we have local capacity and high domestic products and markets. So let's go into industrialization. Then let us make our government corporate. Our government, there are a lot of corruptions. So let us devise anti-corruption measures to sanitize our government, to make it government of the people, to make it an outlook of good governance. Then the partnership and collaboration with all these international organizations like the World Bank, the World Health Organization, the World Trade Organization, UNESCO, and so on. So let us, IMF and so on. We have to watch their conditionalities, because there are some people, for them to help us to assist Nigeria, they will place a sort of burden on us that you must value your Naira, you must suffer your people before we give you support or give you money. So let us look for a soft landing loan. If you want to collect loan for any investment or any project, let's look for a soft landing loan, and not such that we batter the citizens of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Professor Mutuashe. But before I let go of you, just 3 days ago, Nigeria celebrated 64th year of democracy. How do you see independence? How do you see Nigeria in terms of economic wise, and where are we when we talk about our economy? You mentioned something. You said we are giants of Africa. and we